Hello walkers, and welcome back to City Walks, the channel where I walk you around and hopefully interesting places. Not the typical big tourist attractions, but sort of off the beaten path. And hopefully we find some stuff together. I'm going to flip you around real quick. 1, 2, 3. Hi there, my name is Henry. I will be your proxy walker today, your virtual travel guide and your co-discoverer. Today we are in White Sulphur Springs, Montana. I'm going to flip you around and show you a little bit more about it. We are starting on the east end of town, heading west, and I say co-discoverer in my little intro there because I don't always know a bunch of details, and I'm not an expert in a lot of the places we go. That said, I have been up to White Sulphur several times, and it's not a big town, right? It's got 1,000 people in it, in the area at least. And the footprint is fairly small, so we'll walk around. I'm going to walk us downtown here. Then I'll loop around and show you the castle, and we'll see what else we can see. First of all, this is kind of the closest little town and stopping point for the Smith River float, which is I think it's the only permitted float in Montana. And I probably have to be specific about the permit. There's other commercial permits you need, I think, and other rivers, but for private, you have to get a permit to float it. It's 3 to 4 days long. It's beautiful, 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 but it's remote. And so you would come here typically to White Sulphur and gear up, and then you go out to Camp Baker, kind of that direction, and that's where you would put it in. I want to thank our Patreon supporters today. I really do appreciate your contributions. I know I keep the limit low there so that everybody can feel like they can contribute if they want to. You can find links down in the description. Certainly not required, but it makes a huge difference to me making these videos for the channel. So thank you very much. There's also coffee and PayPal if you want to make a one-time contribution. Again, very much appreciated. We're going to come down to downtown here. It's maybe 2-3 blocks long, but it's got a lot of neat old buildings and a lot of individual stories to tell. I don't know all of them, as I mentioned, but I'll tell you a little bit, and then I'll maybe be quiet as we get back into the neighborhoods. Stage Line Pizza and Strand Theater. I've been to the pizza parlor. It's good. I haven't been to the theater, but next to that is Red Ant's Pants in that older building, the Wellman Block, and that is a kind of a neat thing, neat company. The woman who started that wanted to make work pants for women, which she does, and very much appreciated. And then she started a foundation, a nonprofit, that raises money for women-owned businesses. I think that's in leadership. And then that led to a a big music festival every year, the Red Ant's Pants Festival, which is sort of country and western music, but not the big, showy, glamorous stuff. A lot of classic country and alt country, etc. Two Bassett Brewery, they've upgraded their building. I think they used to be over there in that orange building, but they've got a brand new building, which is nice. It wouldn't be a town in Montana without a Stockman bar. I don't think they have a mint bar, but those are usually the two that you can find in a Montana town. Get out here into the parking lane. The Mathis Market is a grocery store in town. I didn't tell you the weather. It is 64 degrees this morning, 18 degrees Celsius, about 9:30 a.m. early July. It's a Monday morning after the 4th. So people have had their exciting week. It's been a busy week, at least down in Livingston, I assume up here as well. And it's sort of settling back into summer here. I love, they've added some new murals here, which I really like. Nice and bright. The lane, I haven't been to the lane. That's new since I've been up here last. I did a walk here a couple years ago in winter, and it was kind of spitting snow and cold and definitely quiet. Bar 47 is a good place to eat. If you're here in, there's several good places, but that's a good place to eat. And then I'm not sure what this other old building is now, the Willis Brothers. There has been a very controversial mine being put in by Black Butte Copper, which is held by an international mining consortium. A big argument over whether it should go in, because the drainage from this area would go into the Smith River, and people are very afraid that it will damage the Smith River and what makes it special. And a lot of the locals here in White Sulphur are, they want the jobs because they're good paying jobs. And so there's been a lot of back and forth over that. The Jawbone, I haven't seen that one either. One of these used to be kind of a speakeasy. Maybe that's it. We'll walk back a little bit. We're going to go down another block, and then we'll make our way back, because there's a couple things I want to loop back through that neighborhood a little bit, and then show you neat old truck, maybe. You can see the price of fuel here. That's per gallon. Okay, off to the left we have a hospital, a local hospital. I think the nearest hospital from here, other than this, is going to be Livingston, which is about an hour and 10 minutes away. Morning.
Good morning.
And then here's the Marr County Courthouse. I'll get back to the hospital in a minute, but you see how it's spelled Meagher, and it's pronounced Marr, not Meagher. And that is an Irish name from a former governor or territorial leader, and back in the 1800s. Hospital. So right now there's a whole lot of concern about a recent bill, and I'm not going to get into the partisanship of this, but there's a lot of fear that because of the cuts that are being made, we're going to lose a lot of our rural hospitals. And so people here, the 1,000 people in town and more surrounding, would have to go to Great Falls or to Livingston to find a hospital to get that kind of care. So it's kind of a bit of flux right now. See a neat old blue Willis Jeep wagon. Love these old cars. I think it's a Willys. Climbs like a Willis in four-wheel drive. That's an old Dead song. All right, off to the Spa Springs Hotel, the eponymous source of, I guess I'm using that word wrong, but the source of White Sulphur Springs name. And kind of in the little courtyard back there is the hot springs. They've done a lot to fix it up over the last 10 years. And I don't know how much it costs to go in there, but it's definitely worth going in for a soak if you get a chance. We're going to cut back east. And I guess I could have gone through the back there, but we'll find our way. If you want to search for other walks by location or walk time, check out citywalksvirtualtours.com. It's a website, my website, and you find a little more information, some blog posts, but you can search for various walks and see categories of walks, so I encourage you to check that out. Also, if you want to post other channel walks, share those with me and others, or articles about walking and the health benefits of it, check out City Walks Virtual Tours for All on Facebook. It's a group that you can join and share and find other information. Walking is just, it's an amazing, there's a lot of amazing health benefits for such a simple activity. So in addition to the mine, the primary economic driver, I believe, is agriculture here. A lot of ranches. We're going to duck back Central Avenue here, and I wanted to show you this neat old truck. It's like an old fire truck, or what was used for a fire truck. Twin Sisters Trading Company. The hot springs were discovered, or not discovered, I don't want to say that. They were claimed by a guy in 1866. I don't know when they were developed, but the town was renamed or something in 1876, so it's been around for that long. And I think this area before that was primarily Crow Indian territory, Crow Native people. But a lot of, my understanding is a lot of those sort of territories, since they were, what's the term? Not migratory. They moved around a lot, and I'm at a loss for the term right now. But so there's often some overlap, and I don't know if this was one of the overlapping areas. You can see some snow still up in the mountains in July. And up here, first of all, Smith River Custom Apparel, little business there. And then we'll go up one more block just to see the school. What a school in a town of 1,000 people looks like. I assume it's a joint, it's first through 12th, whether they split them up in the building or not. You can see a grain elevator over there in the distance. And as we walk around, you can see maybe in the distance on that building some big squares. And those are, here's one, they are quilt squares. And I don't know fully well what the story is behind all those, but people develop their own. It's kind of like a brand you would have on a ranch brand, but not necessarily for a ranch. And there's a whole trail of it, so people post these squares up around their property, along, I guess, the road or wherever, and there's a whole trail that you can follow around here. We're on Central, crossing Alabama off to the left, and we're gonna swing around here. See a little church over there. hill, and we're going to actually go one more block just because I kind of want to see the school here. Lions International trailer here. It's a civic group, civic club. They do good things for communities. A lot of volunteer work, fundraising, that sort of thing. Looks like the mascot might be the Hornets. Here's Crawford Street. This is a neat old building. Looks like an old church or something. And maybe it's converted to something else now. But we're going to go up this direction, I think. Even though... No, we're not. We're going to go one more. We've got time. We'll keep going up because I kind of want to get a view out up over the valley to the southwest, or wherever, honestly. It really is a beautiful region. Big open valleys, and it's not really grasslands, I guess, but it's not forested either. You can kind of see a ridge in the distance there, and there where water can be shaded, I guess. A lot of times it's dry down low, but then you get a little more and you start to get into some forested hillsides. This Ford Expedition has a school bus sign on it. So with the smaller population, you don't need a big yellow school bus, but people are coming in from way out, and you might need a 4x4. There's a livestock trailer. Well, I think that our view is going to be blocked by another livestock trap, by trees and stuff, but here we go. Here's kind of a more expansive view, and that's the Smith River flowing. I believe that's maybe not, it might be a different creek. Anyway, that's going to flow north to the right. We're going to go left on Folsom here and loop back through this neighborhood. Maybe let's go up to the rodeo grounds. I think that's up there. They have a Labor Day rodeo here, possibly others. That's an apple tree or a cherry tree. Crossing First Avenue. So that direction is to the south. To the south they have I think they have a little golf course down there. Hotels, some more, couple restaurants maybe. And kind of thins out. There is an airport down there. Fussy dog. One of the things I like about walking around in these small towns and quiet neighborhoods. There's another church. It's just how quiet they can be. So I'm gonna see another ridge over there to the north. So I'm gonna maybe tone down a little bit. I could go out there, but there's some kids down there and I don't want to be creepy. Plus, I want to go see the rodeo grounds. There's some people, or a person on a horse at least. That's always interesting. I like what they've done with this little garden here. The rock wall. You can get a good view of some countryside over here. Just kind of turns to ranch land pretty quickly. And then this woman is working with her horse. We're at the rodeo grounds here. Here's a grandstand. I love these old wooden grandstand. Who knows how long these things have been around, and they just keep maintaining them. You know, there's not a lot of water here to rot or cause that kind of thing. I'm at a loss for words this morning, sorry. So these sort of structures, as long as they're covered and maintained, they can last for decades and decades and decades. I kind of like them. And here's some more modern bleachers they put up here at the end. There's another horse that's going to get worked sitting in the shade. photos. Here's the concession stand, I guess. Bathrooms. I love these. Oh, aspen. Everything's so green right now. We've had this cool house. It's been there's never really a usual spring out here, or season, I think, but at least not anymore. But we had a dry start to our spring, and the last week we have gotten a fair amount of rain, which has been nice. It's been fairly mild so far in terms of temperature. I think we got up to 90 one day. Get back up there this week. But just been beautiful, and such a nice change from just, the winters here last and last and last. And by the time you get to the season, I mean, the season, the summer, it's early to mid-July. It's almost over. Jeez, feels like it. And it's barely begun. So we get a late start. And so to have this nice weather has been a real treat. There's a big old stock trailer. I've said it before, but I love the smell of trees and foliage as it warms up. It's another barky dog. Look at this. So they have 2 levels in these trailers. And so they can have 2 levels of animals to haul around. I don't know if this school bus off to the left was used or not, but looks possibly. Hi, dogs. One of the fun things about the western states, at least the Rocky Mountain states, is it's so arid that cars don't corrode much. They don't use salt on the roads. And so you get a lot of these classic old vehicles that are still in use, or at least they're not rusted to a hulk. And I enjoy seeing that. Seeing how people also decorate their houses, like all the bird houses here. It's fun. And fences and that sort of thing. Hi there. It's interesting that they've used plywood. My guess is the prevailing winds are from the south, maybe, and that keeps a bunch of the snow and wind, cuts it down just a little bit. Here's a nice little alley. But we'll go down one more block. I should be quiet, but I'm going to say a little more. One of the things I try to balance is showing residential areas and these towns, but the towns are where people live, and I don't want to intrude on their privacy either. While I have the law says that I can film from the street, as long as there's no expectation of privacy, like I'm not poking in the window or trying to look over a fence, I can film. But what's legal and what's courteous and good citizenship are not necessarily perfectly the same thing. Look at those pretty purple flowers over there. Last week, and then I'm going to be quiet for a little bit. Last promise. Last week I did a walk on the Livingston Peak Road, and I was showing you the lupin, which is a pretty flower. I love it. It's beautiful. It's subtle, and I just really love it. Anyway, a rancher, as I was walking back to the car, a rancher stopped, or a ranch worker, somebody. Anyway, and he's just stopped to say hello. And I was telling him, I was right at where we filmed a big bunch concentration of wildflowers. And I was telling him about how much I like the lupin and how I really couldn't tell the difference between what was wildflower and weed. And I guess technically they can be both. But he was saying the lupin, he considers it a weed. The reason being is it has a neurotoxin that affects cattle, and he said it was the same as loco weed, which is not a scientific term, but a colloquial term for weeds that I guess have a neurological effect on livestock. So, thought that was interesting. I thought I'd share it. Kind of a fun little tidbit that we can learn if we stop and interact with people. Love this. This is a neat old fence, neat old building, but also just mature. I guess those aren't lilacs. I'm not sure what they are. Some lilac in there. I think these are peonies, maybe? These flowers. We are on 2nd and going to cross Chilton here. See that we're back on Main Street here, and we're going to continue up 2nd. We're going to go see the old castle, and I put that in quotes. crossing Hampton Street. Like this little lending library there on an old stump. Looks like these houses are not, that they are vacant, but they're neat old style houses. And I wish that I had the time, energy, money. I'd love the idea of having those fixed up. I don't necessarily want it to be me that does it, but it's been nice seeing a lot of people out on their porches enjoying the morning. The 4th was on Friday, so I don't know if it's a long afternoon, a long weekend, or, you know, a lot of people here are self-employed, so their time is their own. Whether they're ranching or farming or running their own business. This is the castle, and it's owned and operated by the Marr County, trailer rolled a little, Historical Society. Kind of a neat old cabin over here. Some goats out back. I'll show you a better image of here. So it's the Byron House, I think. It's a kind of a 19th century Romanesque style. It's fun. I've never actually been in here. Traveling Mail has. But it's a museum, historical museum, and also there's an associated carriage house, not like a barn, but I think they have a display of old carriages. I'm gonna guess it's in that side building. We're on Baker Street. We'll just go up here to have a better look at it. A lot of these counties have small historical museums, or out east, eastern part of the state, a lot of them have dinosaur museums. They're typically small and a little rustic, but really interesting. If you have, it doesn't take long to tour them, and they have wonderful little tidbits. There's one in Baker that I really like. That's on the eastern edge of the state, and there's one up near Jordan. See, this is why this is why Montana, right? Look at that. Absolutely beautiful country, beautiful day. I love it. All right, I think I'm gonna call it. We're at, what, just over 40 minutes. I wanna thank you guys for joining me. I think hopefully I'll have time, and next week will be Lewistown, Montana. I've never filmed there before. Been through it innumerable times. It's an interesting central Montana. In fact, it's one of the hotels claims the geographic center of Montana. And it's a charming little town, little city actually, bigger than this. And we'll walk around there and see what we can see over there. And I'm going to be up there on Friday because my son is doing this really interesting driving course that is sponsored by or subsidized by State Farm Insurance. Not that that's relevant, but and it puts people, particularly kids, look at this yellow rose bush, that's fun, into these driving situations where they lose control. So in a controlled manner with an instructor, and the instructors talk them through how to safely deal with these situations. And it's really kind of a neat thing, and you know, you have to be able to deal with that, especially out here in the West, where you're kind of this wide open country where you're kind of on your own until somebody comes by, and you don't know how long that's going to be. So anyway, I don't know why I need to tell you that, but Lewistown next week. I will see you then. Until then, check out the website, check out other videos, tell your friends. But really, until then, keep on stepping.